If you look around at the dog world in this day and age, you will see that there is this common misconception that there needs to be constant human intervention for dogs to survive. The reality is that should be the furthest thing from what we're doing. And if you really look at things over a long enough span of time, you will see that our dogs are sicker than they've ever been. They're dying of cancer at a faster rate than they've ever been. Their lives are shorter than they've ever been. And through our experience and just different research and things that we've put into practice, there's a reason that we land in the holistic camp and with the holistic philosophy. We would like to talk about why. Why are we so firmly standing on that camp? And why is it that we really just always look to nature's principles to figure out how to handle situations with our dogs, whether it's anything from prevention to actually addressing symptoms and issues?
So there are certain principles that we associate with the natural approach that we choose to follow. So it's not just a matter of, I could use a drug, or here's a natural replacement for that drug. It really is a system of principles that we continue to study and we continue to research and we continue to understand more. And that's what guides us when we're making decisions about what to do with our dogs.
The goal that we always have is to bring about true healing. We never want to just address symptoms as if that is the disease. We certainly are trying to bring about things with the best results with the least amount of harm, the least amount of force. But the goal is always going to be to get to the root cause and bring about true healing. That's principle number one.
So number two is that symptoms are a guide to the disease, but they're not the disease itself. This is where I think conventional medicine fails us a lot of times. For example, if your dog has an ear infection, the focus is going to be on the ear, diagnose the ear, treat the ear, do things to the ear. It's just a symptom. It's a symptom of a deeper problem, and if you don't address the deeper issue, you're going to treat that ear forever and probably in a very unrewarding manner.
Number three is that natural medicines and natural preventions are typically safer, and they're going to actually benefit the health rather than bring negative impacts to the health. So an example of that would be, rather than using flea and tick chemicals like NexGard or Brevecto or Superior Trio or something like that, we're going to choose something like garlic as a supplement. Garlic not only is effective at keeping parasites away and actually repelling them, which is the idea in the first place, but it actually has benefits to the health of the animal. It's something that's going to build up their health, certainly not take away from their health. So that's one example of that.
Another example is, let's say you have an infection and you take antibiotics for your infection. The antibiotics, you put them in your mouth or get them injected. They break down inside your body into compounds that are toxic to bacteria. And so essentially they are bacteria killing machines. They also tend to have anti-inflammatory side effects, which are sometimes helpful. However, if you think about yourself, so you had an infection, you took antibiotics, the infection is now gone, but what about you? Like, are you better off because of this intervention? Basically what's happened is part of your microbiome has been killed off. And so essentially you're kind of laid waste if this goes on for too long, or depending on how your body interacts with the antibiotics. You're not healthier as a result of having taken antibiotics.
Fourth principle that we're going to want to adhere to is we want to promote expression of the system, not suppression of the system. So what do we mean when we say that? It is typically done with pharmaceuticals that are going to, if you've got symptoms, which again are looked at as the disease, we want to get rid of those symptoms as quickly as possible. Well, what people may not realize is that in that process, you're actually suppressing, you're pushing down, you're trying to, eliminate this, but what you're actually doing is just pushing it back down further into the system.
Right.
Rather than allowing the system of the body to do what it's naturally inclined to do, which is to express it out or detox it out, right? And so whenever we have a situation where we have a problem, we want to help the system to express that out. We don't want to push the symptoms further down.
For example, an ear infections in dogs and possibly in humans are a very common detoxification symptom. It's very easy for dogs to use their ears for detox most of the time. And if you treat the ear with something that stops the ear infection, usually people are happy because they're like, whoa, infection's gone. However, what you've basically done is stopped a detox. And now, where are those toxins going to go? Your dog's body was using the ear as a method of moving them out. Now, where's that stuff? Roaming around on the inside somewhere without a way to get out.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of just finding natural products that will do the same things that drugs might do. For example, like a natural antibiotic. We're not looking for that. We're not reaching for that. We're trying to understand what the underlying process is and support the body through whatever it is trying to do. Yeah.
So those are just some of the core principles that we really adhere to when we're looking at things from a more holistic approach. We find that we get way more success and long-term results when we use these principles versus maybe more of the conventional approach. So the next we want to talk about that it's really a philosophy, and it's a very just kind of different way of thinking about health and how to kind of navigate and manage that.
So your body has some innate intelligence. Our systems are designed to repair themselves. Our bodies are designed to heal. And so understanding that and encouraging our bodies to do what they need to do and supporting them through the process is going to work better for ourselves as well as for our dogs. The conventional approach to some extent kind of, thinks of the body as clump of cells kind of idea that are, I guess, directionless and have no ability to repair themselves without this kind of chemical or surgical intervention. And so we do hold to the philosophy that your body probably knows what it's doing. It's not going to intentionally self-destruct. And so we just try to understand the processes that are going on and support our dogs through them.
We also don't view symptoms as something bad, even though they can be uncomfortable. Symptoms are really just an expression of the body that there is an imbalance or a dis-ease in the system. We don't view it as the system is broken. It's actually doing exactly what it was made to do. And we really want to view that as really just giving us some information to really lead us and guide us to kind of the root cause of where something might be coming from. And the whole goal is to bring things back into balance. We don't want to, intervene in a way that is going to, make the pendulum swing so far the other direction that then we have more work to do to come back. We want to be gentle. We want to work with the system to be able to bring back balance, which is what the body's ultimately trying to do all the time.
Right. It's kind of a less mechanical view of the body, so less thinking of your body as a broken toy that needs to be fixed by some external force or external intervention. Instead, supporting your body in its efforts to repair itself.
We also are aware, as part of the philosophy that it may take some deep digging to get to the root cause of an issue. There are so many systems and the ways things are affected by each other and the interconnectedness of that, that sometimes it really takes a little bit of effort, and it takes a little bit of supporting this and working on that. And you sometimes have to almost work your way down in layers to really figure out what that root cause is. And that takes commitment, that takes a little bit of patience, but knowing that ultimately the payoff is worth taking that extra time and making that extra effort, because we really do want to bring about true healing. And sometimes that's what it takes.
Yeah, and when you think about root cause, it's deeper than, oh gosh, if I could only figure out what my dog is allergic to, then he would not have allergies anymore if I were able to eliminate that from his life. That's not actually root cause. The root cause is addressing why my dog's immune system reacts in this way to whatever the stimulus might be. And that's really what we're trying to get to. Especially for allergies. I mean, that's something that is really kind of impossible. When you do allergy testing, most dogs are going to be allergic to this bunch of trees and that bunch of grasses and house mold and human dander. And so you end up kind of at an impasse. Whereas if you try to correct the root of the problem, which is this hyperreactive or overreactive immune system, you're going to get better results. If you simply allergy test and then try to address allergens, you will end up kind of chasing this with drugs. And when one drug doesn't work or becomes ineffective, then you move on to the next drug. And with that approach, there's always side effects, there's things that damage your dog's health while you're just trying to get them to stop itching, really. And so I find that approach very frustrating, and it doesn't lead to a healthier life for your dog. So one of the philosophies also is that your body is an entire unit. So we have to address the body as a whole instead of picking apart the different systems that are running in our bodies and using one supplement for this, one supplement for that, an herb for this, here's a homeopathic remedy for this other thing. It's a lot easier and I think more beneficial if you look at your dog as an entire being. And that to me makes more sense. There's not one cell in your body that doesn't know what's going on with all the other cells in your bodies. It's not like your left arm has no idea what your right arm is up to. And so addressing the body as a whole kind of simplifies things. It will get you faster to the root cause. You will end up using fewer supplements and fewer remedies, which is always our goal, is to use kind of the smallest number of things that we can get away with to actually bring about a real foundational change.
So the last point that we want to make is that nature has balance in place already. This idea that, science can do it better. It can be done better in a lab. Conventional medicine can trump nature. You're always going to find something lacking. You're always going to find something missing that you're trying to put back in balance when you're doing things artificially like that. Nature already has a natural system of checks and balances, and it will self-correct, and it will always bring itself back into balance. When you're looking at, food, when you're looking at ecosystems, when you're looking at all of these different things, and you really compare, a natural version to something that is man-made, there's always going to be something that man-made misses, right?
Yeah. It's so funny. It's like, you think about kibble. Is kibble better than the dog's natural diet? Like, we're going to make something in a factory that will approximate what a dog maybe should eat, we think. And somehow that's going to serve dogs better than eating their natural diet. That sounds just kind of foolish. There are systems in place in every living body that support the regulation of cellular life, essentially. And so conventional medicine seems to try to take control of that innate regulation, but what ends up happening is the scales are going to be tipped too far this way or too far that way, because that's an external intervention, and that's always heavily weighted one way or the other. And so if we can support the body and restore those natural regulatory systems, you're going to be a lot more successful and for the life of the dog. Like we were talking before we started filming about how long dogs used to live and what the life of dogs used to be. And it certainly is shorter now. And also there's just so much less balance. In some cases, it seems like there's always something happening. There's always a reason to run to the vet. And then you add a drug, and then that interacts with something else, and something else gets thrown out of balance. And so if we can put some foundations in place, we're much more likely to be successful.
So to illustrate this, let's just think about food for a second. If you look at puppy kibble, for example, a huge conversation is that puppies need more calcium. And so when you look at puppy kibble, there's going to be a very high amount of calcium. It's a synthetic form of calcium. And the question is how much phosphorus, right? Because phosphorus is needed to help them use the calcium. Well, guess what naturally occurs in nature? A perfect ratio between calcium and phosphorus. We find that in edible bones, we find it in tripe, we find it in raw goat's milk. There are plenty of foods where it just naturally occurs, and it's a completely bioavailable form. And so that's just one example. And then the other example would be the egg. There's a huge conversation about, only feed the egg white of the egg because if you try and it can mess with the absorption of biotin. But what's in the yolk of the egg? A tremendous source of biotin. Right. And so, when you start looking at and those are just two little examples, but it happens over and over and over, and that's just when we're looking at food. What would be another example?
Part of the reason that we need to walk our dogs, or at least get them out and walking or running every day, is because that actually drives normal peristalsis. So the normal movement of food through the gastrointestinal system depends on getting that kind of exercise, particularly the diagonal movements like walking or trotting. For example, here in winter, there's a lot of dogs that just don't get walked. It is too cold out. People don't want to go outside. It's slippery out there. But to some extent, then you'll get stories like the dog stops pooping every day, and now they're only pooping every third day, and people get worried about that. Or the dog will have to, they only went out and peed a little bit before because it was freezing out there. Now they have to pee in the middle of the night, so they just pee in the house. And so all those kinds of things can be regulated by just resuming a regular walking schedule. And this is also seen on a grander scale in ecosystems. So ecosystems tend to find balance. If there are too many predators, they're going to run out of prey animals, which is going to do away with some of the predators. And then the next year there's going to be more prey animals, and so consequently you'll end up with more predators. And nature is constantly finding balance in this way, but it's very typically not static, which means that it is normal to have some symptoms sometimes. So this idea that we're going to gradually shuffle our dogs off to a world of perfect health where nothing ever affects them and nothing ever happens, that's probably unrealistic. So I think part of the reason that you and I both ended up choosing to use the natural approach is because of our previous experiences. So being in veterinary practice and realizing that at some point it comes down to animals constantly needing refills of their drugs, that is not actually health. And it seems like there's no dog that really has some sort of antibiotic deficiency or ear ointment deficiency. And so that eventually I understood, that led me to understand that we were really just missing the boat on actually treating disease, treating our patients, and improving their health, which was what I thought the goal was.
I have to say, through my many years of holistic breeding, these principles that I adhered so strongly to, because I had lost a dog so tragically before that, it really just put me in a place where I was not willing to compromise, because I was not willing to bring any possibility of harm if it was up to me. And that was really what I had learned, having lost a dog so tragically, having done everything conventionally. And what I found was, the more I leaned into nature's principles, and the more I trusted, the mother's instinct, which is nature, the more I used these, kind of gentle, natural supports rather than, forceful interventions, I had tremendous success with all of my mothers, with all of my puppies. We were very fortunate. We never lost a puppy. I did not have to run a mom to the emergency vet ever for any reason. And I truly do believe that it is because all of these things were what were guiding every single decision that I made, proactively, preventatively. If issues arose, I just was not willing to move that needle at all. And I think it really it showed in the health of the animals that we produce.
About the overall health care of your dog that's going to go on throughout their lifetime. People who have a desire to do things more naturally, but are nervous about it, or kind of want to use some of this, some of that, ultimately having principles that you're adhering to will make you more effective, more successful, because you have that driving force behind you of guiding principles. So for example, this is a question I get a lot. Okay, but if you were going to feed kibble, what kind of kibble would you feed? And the answer is no. I will not feed kibble, ever. I am unbending on that principle. Similarly, I have people who come in and, oh my gosh, we found 5 ticks on Fluffy this weekend at the cabin, and so I had to give NexGard. I had to give him Bravecto. I had to do these things. Okay, I won't.
It's the same thing. I can piggyback right onto that. I won't use drugs.
Yep.
I won't do it unless it is a dire emergency situation. There are those times, sure, where, it's a crisis situation, and maybe, immediate antibiotic is essential for pulling my dog out of something. But for the most part, if my girl is itchy, I'm not going to an allergy medicine. I'm going to get to the root cause, because I know the damaging side effects of allergy medication, and I know that it's coming from some place of imbalance. And so it's my job to figure out, where's the imbalance? How can I help support and bring balance? And so there is just an element of, you draw a line in the sand, and you really just kind of are immovable on certain principles, and it really does you and your dog the most good when you can stand firmly on those.
So I think conventional medicine really shines in the emergency realm. Blood loss, broken bones, those kinds of things. C-sections are sometimes a gift. But conventional medicine really flubs when it comes to dealing with chronic disease, dealing with the immune system, dealing with hormonal systems. It does not shine in those areas. And so that's where you can make the best use of your time and money, by following the holistic principles.
So really, the conclusion that we have come to, and that we hope that we can continue to share through our education and empowerment on this channel and other various things that we do, is that when you allow nature to be in charge and you trust in those principles, you're going to get the most vital health and just kind of harmonious result that you possibly can.